All right, let's talk about something that I think a lot of us have been feeling. This sense that building for the web has gotten, well, really complex, way more than it used to be. Today, we're going to dig into why that is.
And this is the core of it, right? This is the question. You just want to put up a pretty simple site, but all of a sudden, you're wrestling with installations, build steps, and this whole universe of tools. What happened? How did we get here from the good old days?
I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it really wasn't. This was it. This was the whole setup. You had your HTML for the bones, CSS to make it look good, and a little bit of JavaScript to make things happen. You link them up, and boom, you were live. But as our ambitions for the web grew, this super simple approach, it just started to fall apart. And that led us to this thing, the monolithic front end. Just picture one gigantic, sprawling code base where every single feature, every page, every little button is all tangled up together. It just becomes a nightmare to maintain, it's slow to work on, and it gets bloated with tons of code you might not even be using on a specific page. So, to fight back against this monolithic mess, a whole new kind of tool was born, and one name rose above all the others: Webpack. It was the great bundler, and its whole job was to step in and bring some much-needed order to all of that chaos. And believe me, it was chaos. See, modern apps aren't just one or two script files anymore. We're talking hundreds of tiny little modules, all these third-party libraries we pull in. The problem was, web browsers were never really designed to juggle all of those separate files efficiently. And that's where a module bundler comes in. It's like a genius organizer. It looks at all of those little pieces, figures out how they all depend on each other, and then intelligently packs them into just a handful of optimized files. What this means is the browser has way less work to do, and the website loads a whole lot faster for the user. For a long, long time, Webpack was the absolute king of this domain. But you know how it goes in tech. Today's elegant solution has a funny way of becoming tomorrow's problem. And as projects got bigger and bigger and bigger, Webpack itself started to become the new bottleneck. So you end up with this massive gap between what developers want and what they're actually experiencing. The dream is you write a line of code, you save, and you see your change instantly. But the reality? You find yourself just staring at a loading spinner in your terminal, waiting and waiting for the entire project to rebuild. And I'm not making this up. This is a direct quote from a real dev team talking about why they had to move on from Webpack. For any project of a decent size, these 40-second or even multi-minute build times became the norm. And that just absolutely kills your productivity. It kills your creative flow. This collective pain really forced the entire web development world to get creative. A whole new toolkit of performance strategies started to pop up, and they were all laser-focused on two main goals: making those builds faster and making the final files smaller. One of the most brilliant ideas to come out of this is something called tree shaking. It's a fantastic name, right? The bundler is smart enough to look through all your code and any function or library you've imported but never actually used. It just shakes it out of the final product like dead leaves falling from a tree. And the results are, well, they're pretty incredible. Just look at this. By simply getting rid of that unused dead code, you can slash your final bundle size by up to 60%. For your users, that's a much faster download and a website that feels way snappier. Okay, so a smaller bundle is great for the user, but that doesn't fix the developer's problem, right? You're still waiting around. So the first thing people tried was to just get smarter about optimizing the tools we already had. And the biggest innovation here was caching. The logic is simple. Why rebuild everything from scratch every single time you make a tiny change? Instead, the bundler saves its work. The next time you build, it only has to reprocess the few files you actually touched. And wow, did it make a difference. In one case study, just flipping a switch to turn on caching took a 40-second build all the way down to just 8 seconds. That's a 5 times improvement. That's the kind of change that gives developers their valuable time and focus back. But just tweaking the old tools wasn't the final chapter. A whole new generation of bundlers came onto the scene, completely rebuilt from the ground up, with one thing in mind: pure speed. Tools you might have heard of, like Vite and TurboPack, they aren't even written in JavaScript. They're built with super high-performance languages like Go and Rust. This lets them do all that complex work way, way faster, giving you things like near-instant server starts and unbelievably quick updates. Now, just let this number sink in for a second. The team behind TurboPack, who, by the way, also created Webpack, they claim it can be up to 700 times faster at getting a project up and running. That's not just an improvement, that is a complete paradigm shift in performance. But faster tools are only one piece of the puzzle. The other huge shift has been in our thinking, in the actual architecture of our apps. We're moving beyond the monolith and embracing something totally new. And that new idea is called micro front ends. Instead of one giant, intimidating code base for your front end, you actually break the application down into a bunch of smaller, totally independent pieces. If you've ever heard of microservices on the back end, well, this is basically the same idea, but for the user interface. And the advantages here are just massive. You can have separate teams working completely autonomously on their own little part of the app. One team can use React, another can use Vue, it doesn't matter. And most importantly, they can deploy their updates whenever they're ready, without having to coordinate with everyone else. This makes scaling both your teams and your application so much easier. Now, the secret sauce that makes all this possible is a technology called module federation. Don't worry about trying to read the code here. The big idea is what matters. It's what allows all of these separate, independent apps to share code and components with each other live, right in the user's browser. So even though they're all built and deployed separately, to the person using the website, it just feels like one perfectly seamless application. It's kind of magic. So from monoliths to bundlers, from painfully slow builds to these mind-bogglingly fast new tools, and from a single code base to these collections of micro front ends, you can see that web development is just this constant cycle of identifying a problem and then innovating to solve it, which, of course, leads to the big question, what's coming next? I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows you how fast things are moving. In a little over a decade, we've gone from the very invention of modern bundling with Webpack to a whole new era of tools written in languages like Go and Rust. The entire developer experience has been fundamentally transformed in a very short amount of time. And that leaves us right here with this final thought to chew on. We have chased after speed, and we've re-architected our apps for massive scale. But in technology, every solution seems to plant the seeds for a brand new problem. So as our tools get even faster and our architectures get even more distributed and smaller, what new unforeseen complexity is waiting for us just around the corner?